because I like it, and I intend to use it if I were to get into some sort of a clan in this game. I highly doubt it, though. With the amount of lag that I'm getting, I'd be kind of useless. Also, for those of you who have been following it, World of Tanks, whatchamacallit, Right On Championship recently happened between Legion, a Russian team, and some Polish team. And right now the Poles are up 2 matches to 1, I think it is, or wait a second. Either that or they're tied 2-2. I'm not sure. But basically, Legion did really well in the first match, and then I think the Poles won the 3 after that. But basically, Legion only uses German tanks. The Poles use Russian tanks, and the other thing that the Poles had is an S-51. They had a very, very good artillery player. Like, he'd be getting 4 to 6 kills per game. And in a pro-level game, that's just ridiculous. Meanwhile, the Legion didn't really have any sort of artillery that came close to that. Their, like, top-scoring artillery was 2 kills. So, they just sort of got out-artilleried, really. There's really no other way to put it. I mean, their tank setup was perfectly fine. They played about equally, you know, but... Oh, and as you can see, we're back to a hard cap of players, 5,000 people online. And apparently the developers decided they didn't like the hotfix. The hotfix did not work, so they rolled it back. And are going to go ahead and try something else. So what this means is that lines are going to be like 5-6 minutes. Something ridiculous like that. So, don't really know what to say here. I'll be back once the Stuart is out of the line, as you've seen all of these other tanks in battle before. Alright, howdy folks, and we're back in another match. Last game around I complained about FPS issues, and I think it's because some settings were added that I didn't notice. Specifically, I had triple buffering on. That does not bode well at all. This is another one of the American anti-tanks. T-57. It looks quite ridiculous without a person standing there, and it's quite ridiculous in concept because, well, your people are bloody open. They can get shot. Like, look at this, just a shot, a stray like bullet that ricochets off of something could just go ahead and kill your crew members. And then the M2 Medium's the worst. Look at it. It has a straight up open top. Oh yeah, and this is one of the German premium tanks, quite funky looking. Wouldn't you agree? But yeah, M2 Medium, just the worst offender of American tank ingenuity. It has a bloody open turret top, like, dear lord. I don't know what these people are thinking. And then the later on American tanks, well, they all have cast bodies, which is also quite useless. Not to mention they all have narrow treads, so they would not be able to get through mud, most likely. I'm not going to make that statement as a fact, but I'm going to say that most likely they did not do well in the mud, just like German tanks did not do well in the mud and snow because their treads were too narrow for their weight. Meanwhile, if you look at the T-34, the thing's like all treads. Anyways, just, oh, check it out, there's some tanks over there. For example, that guy. Oh. Damn it, he moved. Alright, so, anyways, American tanks, they're funky. And as I said, later on in the war, or later on tanks in this game, all the Americans use cast armor. And what that lets you do is that lets you get any shape you want, but it's a lot weaker than rolled armor simply because when you roll the steel, it restructures itself and becomes stronger. And, like, that's why, like, a lot of other tanks used rolled armor, including the T-34-85. It only uses cast armor in its turret. Everything else was rolled, and the IS tanks, they have 2 plates of cast armor that meet to form a V in front of them. Oh, so apparently there is another tank over there that's firing at me, so I'm just gonna go ahead and back up into here. and for some reason I can't seem to penetrate this bloody... There we go. Finally got him, and that's a Leo. Oh dear, I'm done. I'm done. Leos are impossible to kill as any... Leos are just the best tank in their tier, and I'm a tier below the Leo, so there's not really much to say here. This right here is a heavy, though. It's kind of cool. It's really a niche tank. You play it because you want to look like this ridiculous pile of lard, but, no, it's pretty cool, though, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't seem very effective as far as heavies go, but whatever. So yeah, this is what I was talking about. Your turret is bloody open from the top. You can literally just... That's just bad. Plus you can see exactly how little armor it has. No, especially considering that... Oh my god. It's just so bad. Like, literally, the guy who's telling you where to aim is gonna have to poke his head out. And that will never result in anything good. Ever. And then the front of the tank, well... Shit. Look at these slopes, okay? If a shell hit that, it would travel along the armor right into where your crew is sitting. That misses the point of sloped armor entirely. And it has 2 extra machine guns here for just bloody hell. And then another 2 that I don't even understand. My only explanation is that this tank was meant to be used against infantry, and assumed that the enemies had absolutely no tanks. Otherwise, there's no explanation for why the engineers choose to make it like that. Like, there's the BZ-3. That's a proper tank. It can do anything. Even though it still has that sort of stupid front armor, it still can do pretty much anything. It has a machine gun in the front to take care of infantry. It has the snub nose that can fire the HE rounds to take care of infantry. It does pretty well against tanks. It's really quick, has nice wide treads, and honestly, so far it's my favorite German tank. And then we have D-46. Yet again, you will notice that the Russian tanks try to keep a low profile as much as possible. Their bodies try to be flat. This is one of the earlier ones still, so it still has that thing where the slope leads you right into the driver. But, whatever. A lot of people complain about these tanks. I never drove either of them. I used free XP, so take that. And then let's see, do we have enough for the engine? Oh, yes, we do have enough for the engine. Sweetness. Alright, there's the engine unlock. And hopefully the tank will be a little bit quicker on its feet now, with the engine and all. And as you can see, I'm getting ridiculous amounts of XP, like 658. Then before that, I got 220 for just doing nothing, 480, 444, 872 for one battle, where I got exactly 2 kills. That was just ridiculous. But yeah, the XP bonus is definitely helping. It gets you to the upgrades faster, makes the tank more interesting. And I mean, some people will say that it adds more of a grind because then you're sitting in the tank with it being upgraded already and all that, but whatever. I don't really feel like spending the 8 grand on this motor. I don't really think it's worth it. Let's see. What do we have here? Yeah, no, it's not worth it. It's not used anywhere else. So I'm just gonna go into battle again, and I'll be back when we get into one. Alright, so we're back in a match. And this time around, we've been thrown in with some lower tier tanks, I think. Yeah, it looks about proper. Alright, so tank completely unupgraded from last match, just completely and utterly. And yeah. Oh yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I mentioned that Americans don't have an anti-tank branch, so kind of makes the M3 a very interesting tank, because if you want to get heavies, you have to play it. And it is basically an anti-tank. A very crappy anti-tank, because it's not low to the ground. It's very tall, so it's easier to hit it. And it has more weak spots. And it doesn't have any... I think it may have more gun swivel, actually. I think that may be its advantage. It has some more gun swivel than your standard anti-tank. So, not really terribly much to brag about. But I don't care, because I'm going down the light branch till I get to the meteors. That's what I do with every nation, because I love my fast tanks. Fast women, fast cars, fast tanks. Fuck yeah. Wow, a PZ2. I haven't seen one of these things in ages. Done for. Now let's move in this direction, see what we can do about this guy. Oh dear lord, there's a lot of them. There's not much I can do, is there? However, I can't stop before that guy can run into me. Try and see if I can. Yep. I can't. Oh. And the Luke's got me. That son of a bitch. With 25 millimeters of side armor, I think. Somewhere in the 20s, 28 maybe at most. Yeah, 25 millimeters of side armor. That thing should have no problem killing me. But yeah, this is what I mean about the Leo. This tank is just ridiculous with its cannon. Once you plop in some HE ammo and it just destroys light tanks like no other. This thing is a beast. From the east. Looks good. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, this is what I was saying. You basically have to play the M3 Lee, no matter, or if you want to get to the heavies. And it's basically an anti-tank. You see, look at it. 92 millimeters penetration, 110 damage for a tier 4. Tier 4. Look at the gun. And see, less penetration, a lot more damage. And about the same kind of deal. So it's M3 Lee is a very, very strange tank. And a very pivotal one, because from it you can jump all the way to the Priest if you're going for artillery. It's the only way to get to the heavies, and you can go to the famous Sherman. And you can see what I say about cast tanks. You see how it's all smooth? That means it's cast. And that armor is weaker than this, which is rolled. As you can see, it's perfectly straight. Same on this thing. It's all cast. I mean, rolled. And on the T-34, it's also rolled. It's just plates. 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plate, 4 plate. And then you have your actual turret being cast, because it was determined that the freedom that you get when casting with shape and all that outweighed the benefits of rolling, because you can't really make these kind of angles with rolled. The top sheet is rolled, of course, not cast, because it makes life a lot easier when assembling the tank. And this thing, it is also cast, if I remember correctly. It's basically like a cone, and then they chop the top off it. Let's see if I have a, yeah, like you see, like this is obviously rolled. You can see the weld marks. That's how much detail they went into with the textures. But yeah, you can see the weld marks and the cut marks on the end of every plate. Kind of cool like that. Germans, same deal. See, they had a plate here, a sort of a curved plate, and then a plate on the front with the 2 little corners there as well. Germans really did love to put hatches on their tanks, though. Anyways, we got this tank back with some experience, but we're gonna need some more, because I need 850 of it. So I'm gonna step into battle and return later.